Hello, students. How are you? I hope that you all are fit and fine at home. I hope that you're doing your daily studies daily. Please do not keep your work pending. Complete your lessons daily. Be a responsible student. All the best to you. Students, you might have already gone through this PPT in the previous week. It's all about the first chapter, two big states, Kanauj and Vatapi. Let us understand this lesson in words today. Let us understand in a better way. And that is the reason why, again, this PPT is being presented to you so that you learn and understand in a better way. Introduction part. In this chapter, we are going to learn about two big states of ancient time, Kanauj and Vatapi. We will also learn about the two most powerful kings of their dynasty, King Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II. We will also learn how they ruled their kingdom and looked after the state administration. King Harshvardhan from the year 606 to 647. He was an Indian emperor who ruled in North India. His father's name was Prabhakarvardhan. After the death of his father, Harsha's elder brother became the king of Thaneshwar, present Punjab, Haryana. His brother Rajyavardhan was killed by the king of god Shashank. Their sister Rajyashri was imprisoned by King Devgupt, the king of Malwa. Under these circumstances, the leaders advised Harsha to become the king of Thaneshwar. After becoming the king, what did King Harshvardhan do? That is, immediate action of Harsha's kingship. At first, he decided to free his imprisoned sister Rajyashri. But her sister escaped from the clutches of Devgupt and hid in the forest of Vindhyachal. He started to search for his sister with the help of the forest people. Meanwhile, a Buddhist hermit, Divakar Mitra, stopped Rajyashri from committing sati. Since his sister's kingdom was without any king at that time, he became the king of Kanauj and later he defeated the king of Malwa, King Devgupt. Now here you can see the vast empire of Harsha's rule, that is Harsha's empire, year 606 to 647. And this particular part which you can see is King Harshvardhan's empire. Harsha's revenge with Shashank. He formed an alliance with King of Kamrup, Assam, Bhaskar Varma, and defeated the god King Shashank and won over a major part of his kingdom with the help of a huge army. Later, he defeated Malwa and Saurashtra, but failed, could not defeat Pulkeshi II, Chalukya king of South India. After winning wars for 7 years continuously, his kingdom became one of the largest kingdom of North India. Now let's see about Harsha's reign, that is rule, and his administration. Harsha personally supervised the administration of his state by traveling extensively to different parts of the state. He divided his routine into three parts. The first one was for administration purpose. The second one was for public welfare, and the third one was for religious activities. He was so hard working and doing his administrative work that at times he forgot to eat his meals. That is, even sometimes he used to be engrossed in his work so much that he forgot to eat even his meals. So for him, what was important was the work. So from this, we can surely say that King Harshvardhan truly proved that work is worship. To run the kingdom very smoothly and in a better or the best way, King Harshvardhan had his own administrative staff. They helped him in the administration. Who were they? They were the commander-in-chief of the army, who was the Pradhan Senapati, the Dwarpal, the foreign minister, the ambassador, the minister for state, the chief justice, and the registrar. They were the ones who helped to administer the state of Kanauj very well. The imprints left by King Harsh. King Harshvardhan built many rest houses, wells, step wells, lakes, mats, and viharas. He banned animal killing too. Every year, he organized a Buddhist religious meet. Every 5 years, he even organized a religious function at Prayag. There, he would donate everything from his treasury with open heart. Sometimes, he even donated the ornaments that he wore. So these are the imprints which he left behind, the memories that till today the people remember. And that is one of the reasons why today we are learning about him in history. The last part which is written over here, that he would donate everything from his treasury with open heart, sometimes even donated the ornament that he wore. To do this particular thing, dear students, you need to have a very big and a kind heart. You need to have your love and affection towards the people of your kingdom. And this is the example that King Harshvardhan set. The kings in olden times used to keep learned people in their courts, and Banbhatta was one of them. He was a great Sanskrit poet in the court of King Harshvardhan. His famous work, Harsh Charit and Kadambari, are famous even today. King Harshvardhan himself was a great writer and wrote 3 plays, Nag Anand, Ratnavali, and Priyadarshika. Coming next is the education part. His love, care, and the desire, and whatever he wished for the people of his kingdom. And in that part comes the education part, that is the Nalanda University. People from all around the world came here to study. King Harshvardhan gave all possible help to Acharya Shilbhadra to make Nalanda University a world famous university. The university had access to the revenue of 100 villages given by Harsha for its maintenance. Famous chemist Acharya Nagarjuna also belonged to Nalanda University. He proved iron, arsenic, and mercury ash can be used as medicine. Now, here are some of the facts about Nalanda University. Students had to clear an entrance test for getting admission into Nalanda University. Free education, lodging and boarding were provided in Nalanda University. The extensive library of Nalanda University was known as Dharmaganj. The lifestyle of the people during his time. Towns and villages were fortified with huge gateways at their entrance. The society was divided into 4 groups: The Purta system and intercaste marriages were not prevalent at that time. The custom of sati, child marriage, and polygamy had started by then. Food, clothes, and entertainment. Food habits. The local diet consists of milk and milk products, wheat, rice, fruits, and vegetables. Clothing. People wore clean, simple white clothes. Men wore dhotis and women wore saris. Their ornaments, rings, bangles, bracelets, necklaces were made from flowers. Today, what type of ornaments do we wear? To this time or nowadays, what we wear is ornaments made of gold, silver, and diamond. But during those days, people wore ornaments made from flowers. Entertainment and games. Chess and games of dice were popular means of entertainment. Acrobats and conjurers wandered from village to village entertaining people. Work, occupation. What work the people did during those days? Farming and animal husbandry were the main occupation of the people. Land revenue was 1/6 of the production. Internal and international trade was carried out by the Vaishyas. A highway from Pataliputra to Bhrugu, Kutch, Bharuch port was built by the state for trade and transportation of goods. The commercial activities, business part. Gold and silver coins were used for commercial transactions. Today, what do we use? Now we use money. We have got currency notes, coins. But during those days, gold and silver coins were used for commercial transactions. Ornaments, statues, ivory, and carved wooden pieces were exported. The export of different materials from India increased her prosperity. During the reign of King Harsha, India had good business relations with Rome, which led to the inflow of gold in India. Religion, the most important part. People followed Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. But people were tolerant towards other religion. This is something very much important. Though people followed Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, they were tolerant towards all other religions. This shows that the people had due respect for people of all the religions and the people following other religions too. Now comes the Chinese traveler, Yuan Sheng, a Buddhist pilgrim from China. Year 629, 645. He was a Chinese traveler who visited India during Harsha's reign and studied Buddhism at Nalanda for 5 years. He stayed in India for 15 years and visited different places. He has described the social, political, and religious conditions of that time. He returned to China via Central Asia and took with him many books, relics, and statues. The notes that the Chinese traveler made, what he writes is, there were 100 Buddhist mutts in Harsha's kingdom. People lived a simple, pious, and peaceful life based on living by rule of good moral conduct and justice. Cheating and breach of promise were considered sinful. So that was all about King Harshvardhan. Coming up next is about Vatapi. The kings of the Chalukyas, Solanki dynasty, established a vast empire in South India, which they ruled from their capital at Vatapi. Pulkeshi I, a great king of Chalukya dynasty, performed the Ashwamegha Yagna. His son Kirit Varma ascended the throne after him. He was succeeded by his brother Manglesh, who built the grand Vishnu temple at Vatapi. After him, the righteous Pulkeshi II became the king and ruled over the empire for about 30 years. A very long period of rule. 30 years of rule. You can see Pulkeshi II, the time period from the year 610 to 642. Pulkeshi II was a valiant king who won many battles. His first victory was over Lat, followed by his win over Gurjar. He gained control over the Vengi region that lay between the river Krishna and Godavari, and also acquired Andhra Pradesh. He transformed the capital Vatapi into a city of magnificence and splendor. The Ajanta murals. What a beautiful view. Why it is over here? Why are you seeing this Ajanta murals? Let's see. Pulkeshi II was an able warrior, but also a great lover of art. In short, Pulkeshi II, an able warrior and also a great lover of art. The caves of Vatapi and Dharapuri were built during his reign. The famous cave murals of Ajanta were also painted at that time. In his travel, Yuan Sen visited the court of Pulkeshi II and has given a vivid account of its grandeur. The kings of the Chalukya dynasty were followers of Hinduism. During this time, Buddhism went into decline while the Digambar sect gained popularity. The battles between King Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II. When King Harshvardhan was ruling over his empire in North India, King Pulkeshi II was ruling in South India. The armies of Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II fought a great battle near river Narmada. The armies of Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II fought a great battle near river Narmada, in which the former, that is King Harshvardhan, was defeated. This halted Harsha's expansion towards South India, and so the empire of Kanauj could not extend beyond Narmada. Now let's see a short comparison between King Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II. Harshvardhan and Pulkeshi II were contemporary rulers. Harsh fought fewer battles as compared to Pulkeshi II, who continued weighing wars. Pulkeshi II finally met his end in 642 in a conflict with Narsi Varma I, the Pallava king of Kanchipuram. King Harshvardhan died 5 years after him. So this is a short comparison about King Harshvardhan, their battles. So that's all what we studied about the two big states, Kanauj and Vatapi. Dear students, I hope that now this lesson will be more clear to you. See that in the next week or so, you might be having your test. Prepare well, study well, obey to your parents, take care of your health. I love you. Bye. God bless you.